How do you know when to let go? How can you be sure? How can you ever know, really? And if you ever one day found out that, in fact, the opposite is true, how do you know when to let go? I've seen many people claiming that they are happy to be in a relationship. Some would even say that they believe that they are with the one. They would wonder at first, and then they plan. They would make compromises, which then leads to promises. They would hurt, and then they would learn, doing all of the necessary steps to make one day a life worth living. But how can they be so sure? What guarantees that leads them to want to take that leap? What promises that were kept where realistically the only way you can ever make sure that your partner is telling the truth is by pure blind faith? Promises of greener pasture, of the simple act of digging that just a little bit deeper to find somebody who can understand you that tiny bit more. It's just such a tiring thought that to think that in terms of meeting somebody that would be in theory perfect for you, you really do have little say in the matter. In my romance movie video, I talked about how the destiny trope really perpetuates this unhealthy idea where two people who are quote-unquote destined to be with together, whatever that means, will one way find each other. And as much as I made myself out to be this cynical and pessimistic person, when in all actuality, I do harbor sentimentality and wonder a lot about one's love life. I just have to be honest with myself and admit that I place too much importance on sentimentality and view it as if it's some sort of unachievable goal for me, you know? But sadly, still view it as a goal, no less. But this is where past lives comes into play. Past lives would really beautifully paint these generic tropes in such a beautiful way. And this is without me even mentioning the voyeuristic shots, the cool yet warm bluish greenish cream color palette, and the oh so gorgeous music all plays a part into making past lives working as much as it did. In its essence, if you strip away all of its beautiful craft and glamour, you just boil right down to the basic. That Haesung is oh so deep in love. Two facts stood true inside his mind. One is that he is still in love with Nora, and two is that he is still in fact in love with the idea of what Nora was back when they were children. Haesung traveled halfway across the globe in an act that screams of desperation. And at the very same time, Haesung would come to an understanding and realize the contradiction of his feelings and thoughts. And that was what he did. He finally came to terms with these thoughts that had been plaguing his mind ever since Nora said her goodbyes to him. That he was just still in love with the idea of what Nora was. And that whatever version of a girl he fell in love with had disappeared, or remained in a more brutal, honest truth, had never had existed in the first place. What I wish I had learned sooner was, when did Haesung knew When did it all click for him? When did he know when to let go? A lesser movie would lead the direction towards some sort of last gasp act where Nora and Hesung would finally be together purely on the basis of their shared history. But no, there were no monumental chase scenes. The story ended with a hushed down conversation between two lovers who were clearly yet inexplicably in love. And the reason they had to justify this uncontrollable feeling is because of Inyon.
There's a word in Korean, inyeon. It means providence or fate. It's an inyeon if two strangers even walk by each other in the street and their clothes accidentally brush, because it means there must have been something between them in their past lives.
Do you believe in that?
The audience felt that, especially through Nora's more nuanced performance, because we know what Hesung's intentions are. But Nora, well, she had now come to face her new reality, accepting the fact that she is not at all going to leave her healthy and happy relationship behind. But there is something underlying her connection with Hesung. Past lives really laid it out for me. Because even when we, the audience, is absolutely convinced that Nora and Hesung was perfect for each other, in all actuality, Hesung doesn't even know who Nora is. What makes her tick? What is she like in day-to-day life? What even is her passion and wants? What Hesung remembers was that little girl he met in school who had to move to an entirely different country. What Hesung remembers was that grown woman he had to talk through his screen when his skies were dark and hers was bright. And now there she was, finally, 24 years after their initial spark that started off this roller coaster of an emotional ride. Two mature adults talking in a dimly lit New York bar, where they finally said yes and acknowledged whatever was hanging over them and decided against it. That it was just too much of a gamble for them to uproot their lives that way. That was when Hesung knew. A hushed down conversation in a language where only both of them will understand. And that was when Hesung knew he had finally let go. Funny thing about love, huh? After initially thinking that watching this movie would make me act differently, I still came down with the same conclusion. It is a gamble. Opening yourself up to the potential, the good and the bad, the warmth and the cold, the ecstasy and the misery, the promise of the reward, only for it to all come down to a flip of the coin.